that there's something exciting happening with this BIP
Yeah,
Builder.
well, I mean, first of all, it's going solo today, so it's its own product and it's going live, and so you can actually gain access to this on its own without needing skills. Now, it's a incredibly important tool, and nothing like this exists. That's why it's very, very important. Well, nothing like skills exists either, but really nothing at all like the BIP Builder, even nowhere even in the same arena. So, you know, and with autism, this is why this is such an important thing. Like, it's not really even autism, any problem behavior. So you as a parent or a teacher or anyone involved with an individual who has problem behaviors, you know, you're trying to figure out, why is this person doing this behavior? And as I've said many times before on this show, the concept with problem behaviors is always you have to identify the function. And you have to figure out, what is this individual otherwise trying to communicate? So now, you know, talking about individuals with autism, let's assume one problem behavior would be hitting. And why does this person hit? Well, there's many different scenarios, and sometimes this person will hit. It is a form of, it has become this individual's communication, but sometimes they'll hit when they want an object, and that would have a tangible function. Sometimes they'll hit just because they want to get attention. That's an attention function. Sometimes they'll hit because they want to avoid a situation, and that would be perhaps an escape function. So there's a lot of different functions of behaviors, reasons for a behavior, and unless you really know those reasons, you're not going to be able to pick the right type of intervention. So let's say if you hit in order to gain attention, then the way that I would have to deal with that is to make sure I don't give you attention when you hit, okay? And I give you attention instead when you don't hit. Now, if you are hitting because you want access to a tangible, it really has nothing to do with attention. It has to do with the fact that you don't have a better way to request a tangible. So my intervention would be that I need to prevent you from hitting and or make sure you don't get that object when you hit, but I have to teach you a better way to request objects. So the intervention is completely different depending on the reason for the behavior. It's not like you just punish bad behavior, you know?
Right.
So having said that, it becomes very important. Two things become extremely important in ABA. One is you have to know all the different types of interventions that exist. So blocking, putting a behavior on extinction, rewarding a different type of behavior, modifying antecedents so the behavior doesn't happen, removing reinforcement. I mean, there's millions, right? All of those things are in the BIP Builder. Now, the BIP Builder is designed in such a wonderful way that what you do is you'll ask a question of, you know, like, so you'll say, okay, I have a problem behavior called tantruming, and then the BIP Builder will ask you a series of questions about it. When does it occur? What do you usually do? What types of things? And that is the CIFA, which is a part of the BIP Builder, which is the we call it the card indirect functional analysis. So it's called indirect because you're not really observing the behavior, you're asking questions, and through questions you're finding out the answers. But it's a functional analysis, so what you're doing is you're identifying the function by asking these questions. Once you identify, so we've now identified that the individual is hitting because they want access to a tangible, then that will automatically take you to the BIP Builder, and it'll give you an array of options of how you can treat this and what your correct interventions should be, and you can pick and choose which ones you want to use, because some are harder, some are easier, and so on, and you can have a multitude of different interventions for each behavior. It's awesome. It is
awesome.
It really is. It's the complete I don't know, encyclopedia of how to handle any kind of behavior. It is very well done. It is very well done. Johnson Tarbox did the majority of the work on the BIP Builder and the CIFA, and with the research group who were part of CARD before and now are Autism Research Group, ARG. really, our hats off to them because they've done something spectacular in this field. I'm pretty certain that the BIP Builder and the CIFA and the BIP Builder, which are now one product, will just take off tremendously. And this will be very helpful not only to professionals, but to parents, to teachers across the board.
Absolutely.
So it's exciting for us, Shannon, because today is the day that it's going live on its own as a separate product. It is part of the skills product, obviously, because we've put thousands of things into the skills product. There's like 25 things in skills. But we know that a lot of people perhaps are doing different types of programming with other organizations. They don't want to use our curriculum, perhaps, or whatever. They have smaller interventions. But the vast majority of people, and this is, again, I'm saying outside of autism even, any individual, developmental disability, or not, any individual with a problem behavior, the BIP Builder is going to work.
Amazing. And so as of today, if a parent is watching and their child is engaging in a challenging behavior, what can they do? Should they recommend this to their ABA provider? Should they recommend it to their school? Should they use it themselves?
Absolutely. Any of those options. I mean, and I think one of the very cool things is that if you want to just purchase it one time for one behavior, you can do that. If you want to use it on an ongoing basis for endless number of behaviors, you can do that. There's a lot of different formats of licensing, purchasing, etc. But I think, it depends on your resources, really. If you have a staff of therapists, or if you have a provider, it's very important to do the right BIP, to do the right intervention plan. It's extremely important. And a lot of times, I don't know if Jonathan talked about that or not, their research did show that obviously you do a lot better intervention when you use the BIP Builder versus if you don't. But what's more important is it's a pretty simple thing if you have a behavior that has only one function, okay? But that never happens in real life, never, ever. So just as an example, if an individual figures out that, hey, I can tantrum and they will give me what I want, then trust me, our kids, our adults are smart enough to have figured out that tantruming is not only useful to gain objects, but it's also useful when I want to get out of the classroom or when I don't want them to bother me or whatever it is. So behaviors tend to spread and they have many functions. So when a behavior happens and it has multiple functions, like for instance, the individual gains what they want, but they also enjoy the attention they're getting from it. That's just two. It becomes almost impossible to figure out how to treat the behavior appropriately unless you separate the functions and figure out an intervention for each function. And the BIP Builder does that for you. The human mind will have a much harder time doing it. When you start using this, you'll see how many questions you have to answer before you figure out, okay, this is really the reason for this behavior.
And the thing that strikes me about it is that in the hands of professionals, this makes the professional more effective and more efficient at being able to deal with those challenging behaviors. But I can attest to, as a parent, it empowers me to be able to sit at the table and understand what's happening and be a voice at what's happening.
Absolutely.
I really think this is the keys to the kingdom. If you've ever been sitting there and wondering, what are we going to do about this behavior? And behavior can really kick your keister.
Right.
This gives you the ability to work either by yourself or with a team, even more empowering with a team, to be able to come up with the right intervention that's going to be efficient and effective.
That's right. And I mean, through our shows, just even looking at our shows, how many times have we talked about this whole concept of the function of the behavior, and that's how you, and having access to something like the BIP Builder is just awesome, because no matter what behavior comes up, you plug it in there. It asks you a bunch of questions, it identifies interventions for you, and it tells you exactly how to do them. I think parents will enjoy this. I think professionals will really benefit from it, especially if you consider the fact that, due to the tremendous need we have now, there are people coming out of master's programs, board certified, and not a lot of experience. And so this is very, very helpful to the new clinician. Let's put it that way, to the young clinician, because it will really cover all bases.
And you had mentioned before that it's not just for people with autism; it's for any behaviors. And I think in the hands of teachers, we tend to talk about the big behaviors, the big challenging behaviors. But even a small behavior, if you're wanting to change something, and the teacher who says, "I really wish that this child who is or is not on the spectrum, I wish I could get them to do X, Y, or Z, or stop doing X, Y, or Z," this could be very effective at changing those behaviors.
That's right. That's right.
Amazing.
And what's important for teachers, I mean, I can imagine that teachers, they have very, very limited resources. And they are the ones that are supposed to handle all their kids and the behaviors and all that sort of stuff. And, as a teacher, it's very understandable if after a few weeks, months, whatever, you start to get frustrated about these things. And that's why I really love the indirect functional assessment, because it really will ask you a lot of questions, and it'll really help the teacher format and decide, okay, these are the ways that I should go, and this is why this is happening, before you hit that frustration level.
Really?
So I really do recommend it. It's a spectacular product. So I'm excited it's coming out today.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And so we encourage all of you to check it out. And if you have questions about it, you can continue to write those in, because we'll be talking about this.